Interesting.
Yes,
Interesting. Um,
yes.
what trace of Marcus Garvey was left behind that you notice?
Um, you know, in Harlem, there was very black conscious in terms of who were our oppressors. When you go, especially when you go to Harlem, you know, there was a degree of black consciousness that derived out of the UNIA and the teachings of Marcus Garvey. I don't remember them talking much about him, but them mention within them tradition of people going back to Africa, mostly amongst the Caribbean folks. You know, the Black Americans were more entrenched in staying here and that they deserve certain rights and looking for their civil rights and justice amongst the people. Now, this is in 70s, so that was a time when the civil rights movement was very loud, you know? So, yeah, the time of the Black Panther Party and all of those things. So, as a young black youth coming up from the Caribbean, when you go to Harlem, like I say, I never get that great sense of blackness in the Bronx like you get when you go to Harlem. Harlem was alive, black place, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
When it come to black consciousness, yeah. And you'd pass and hear man on the corner I profess and declare blackness and the what them call them black Jews them that speak about the tribes of Israel scattered.
Hebrew Israelites.
Hebrew Israelites, my Lord, give thanks.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. You come away here in those days of the Hebrew Israelites, you know, talking about the plight of the black man and that what you see in the movies and stuff, they stole our history, you know, that we are the true Israelites.
Mm.
Yeah. hmm Which in its essence, it a build a foundation in a you where later it a go transform into Rasta consciousness. Because when you get that information, whenever I get that in a Jamaica about being black Jews,
Mm.
never, yeah, cause me never associate someone grew up and go at the Bobo camp or Rasta camps at that time. I never attended that. My Rasta beginning start up in the Bronx, you know, in the 1970s, 76. I'm on start put on I'm on covenant and listening to the Hebrew Israelites and seeing their connection as I and I as your people.
Mm.
When the Rastaman in the park would have start talk about Haile Selassie and Revelation chapter 5:5, the dots start to connect, you know? Yeah, man, the dots start to connect. I remember yeah, in the Bronx, we had a park by College Avenue where we used to go play ball and all of them thing, and you had one and two Rastaman over there where you start reason and listen to, you know? Yeah. And the knowledge start to increase of our awareness of being the children of God that were scattered all abroad and seeking to make an identity with these knowledge that we're getting, you know. You start to research now and come upon His Imperial Majesty and His place in the Bible, the fulfillment, yeah. And there we start a journey in 1977. No, that time I was going to college, City College, which was in Harlem also. So like me say, walking through Harlem, moving through the other library called Arthur Schomburg Library, which was, I think, the major black library at that time in the United States. And we went to the library to seek out books on Ethiopia. And when we find the books them with His Majesty, by the time we go back the second week, we're restricted. You can't get no book on Ethiopia unless you show them some ID and write down, say you borrow the book if I cut out the whole of the picture them. I fist punches out of the book there. You don't see it.
Yes,
I will consider it say, oh, they might hide these things from us so we are liberate. You don't know the
yes, I.
father, you know? Yeah, man, Arthur Schomburg Library. Very important library for a year. Dr. Clark. So when him start him journey in seeking to learn about African history, and him go ask Mr. Schomburg where would he find those books, and Mr. Schomburg tell him that African history is hidden and embedded in the books of world history. So you're not going to find much books, African books or African history books, independent of itself. You know, you'd have to study in the books of world history where them hide the African place and the African history and the African partaking in history in those books. Yeah, so as we increase in our awareness and our blackness in ourselves, you know, we start to get into those books, seeking out the tradition of our people and the history of our people, you know? Yeah,
My lord.
Rastafari.
Yes, I. Quite interesting. Yeah, quite interesting, my lord. Yeah. Um. So, okay. The I put on your Congo and thing. What
Yes.
inspired that? What really inspired that at the time?
Um, just the whole reality where we come to within ourselves of being an oppressed people, and that Rastafari stand for anti-colonial, a revolt against colonialism. After we see the black civil rights movement and how black man was treated, you know, and you see these things on TV, you identify with that set of people that start to get a more mature identity of ourselves. And the fact say we want to be free of that colonial mind, colonial lifestyle where Remember, them parents are sending me to go to school, go to college, get a nice job, trim your hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a different child. Used to have a book or read named A Different Drummer. And I start to identify with that idea that within us, within Iman personally, I was hearing a different drum sound than what the rest of certain people was hearing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I get a call to a different thing. You see it? So with the man them in the park, the Rasta man them in the park, and more talking and more reading and studying black history in college, you start to get a sense of wanting to leave out of this place, wanting to leave to go to our homeland because we not identify ourselves as being American. We identify ourselves as being Africans. So you start to aspire to going to Africa. Well, you start to aspire of leaving Babylon. The music in the 70s and stuff, all the Rasta music, them create that mindset, you know. Africa must be free by 1983. So we are look towards all of these things. 7 miles of Black Star Line are coming in the harbor and all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to resonate with that kind of energy there. You know, I've been a black man that been oppressed and son of people that been oppressed for how much 100 years. And you want to come out of that. So we want to
Rastafari.
leave. Yes, we want to leave out of Babylon. Go live in Mount Zion with King Rastafari. You know? So we young Rasta beginning in the 1977. Now, 1977, they had a blackout in New York for about 26, 27 hours. And them time there, me and Priest Turks and two other brethren, I'm on the drop out of school and we start live together. We get an apartment and we start live together and start a journey as a brotherhood. The four of us moving and bringing the Empress them and all of that. But I remember 1977 when time they had a blackout. We did have a van. We used to do messenger work with the airline. Pick up the when people lose them baggage,
Yeah.
we would have deliver them, carry them to them house and deliver them. And so we had a step van, you'd have call that, to do the job. And when time the blackout and you have whole heap of man just a go in a store and broke up window and take out things. And the man them come pan with door every half hour. Man them a say, come use up and go to the store, go get some things and get some things. And I say, that. I remember we sit on a beat, jump, and I sing and I chant. And the man them keep a knock on the door every set of man. You know? We go rob store and rob them things. And that never in our spirit. You know? Yeah. We'd see that like a sign from Jah. One of the sign them I say, if you left them place here, for Jah go smite them place here, we look for a destruction in a Babylon. That was like a sign to us, in a 1977. I remember Marcus song we say, when the two sevens clash, what a big something.
Mm,
Yeah. So that did coincide with that happening, and that enhance our meditation to want to leave this place, you know?
my lord.
So yeah, but while he was in the Bronx, we start having meetings. Wednesday evening we had Bible reading, and Friday night we'd have play the drums and sing and chorus. We had two youth was Ella Rasta to us. Maybe 5 or 6 years. Bugs and Spooky and our next bridge, you know, they dead. Them dead as now, but them used to teach us the chorus and we chant, and it became a big gathering. For we did have they made two apartments, two-bedroom apartments into one. So it's like a four-bedroom apartment on the fifth floor. And quite a few of the bridge in them who end up down a yard down a Bobo Hill. And that's how we start the journey together, you know? Yeah. I keep reasoning Wednesday night, Bible reason, and beat the bongo drum Friday night, not even realizing, say, we are get drawn towards the Sabbath.
Mm,
Yeah, 'cause we never have no link with no one but them two Rastaman. One of them was a Rastaman from my youth, born in Jamaica and as a Rastaman and chad up here, you know? So call him Vilo. Yeah. And enough chorus him and the teacher and start another mindset, you know, towards the praises of Rastafari, you know. So
my lord.
we never go down the road with the
Criminal gun.
gunplay and yeah, you know what I mean?
Mm.
You kind of draw we out from early.
So how they I them hear about King Emmanuel at the time? Was there Bobo in New York, Brooklyn, and them space there at the time?
No, no, my lad. We are the first set up about them.
What?
What happened is, listen, man. What happened is we had a bridge in Brandel going to City College, and him come from around a Ramsey Road where we'd have from around where Priest Fleego and next bridge named Harpo. And I forgot the next priest name where him passing now. So him association with them make him wind up on the hill.
Mm,
And so remember when time before me even drop out of college where we used to sit down on the lunch table down in City College, and them time them in a music much. We'd have a little set and pure Rasta music me a play. Matter of fact when time we play out, my brethren we own the set and most of the record them. Him play everything else. When time it come to the Rasta segment I man play. But me have my two box with pure special Rasta music, you know.
mm,
But round the table, Brandel was a musician. Him make a little band and sing to music too. Him is a writer. And one of the day me see him with a little red book, and he must say it was a redemption songbook. And he must say enough inspiration him get out of that book there to write him music. Say where you get that from? And I tell you now about go down a yard and go check him bridge in them and a man they turn Bobo so him go up on the hill go visit, you know. And that was the first introduction to any reason about Bobo Hill that I and I did get. No man in a turban. No out of the group are with that. used to gather when we live in the building and it have the psalms reading and the singing. We live on the fifth floor, a set of man live on the third floor, and a set of man live on the first floor. You know, priest Itafa him used to up on the first floor.
Mm.
And priest Aikeel, him did up on the third floor, him and priest Diego. So priest Aikeel come from around the same area with Jafligo them. And when him go down a yard, him go up on the hill also and was introduced to the culture. And him coming back was our first introduction to Bobo culture. You know? I mean, Brandel let go, but him never account to the culture. Him glorify the liberty and all of that. But Priest Akil as a young man, yeah, Akil, not Aikil, Akil, him name.
Mm.
Bring back the culture and tell you one of the times say when him a reason with the father say him have three priests in the house if come to him. Well, me and priest Turks fulfill that. The other two brethren never come. And along the journey, them on the pathway still. Last one passed about 2 years ago in Africa. But that was our first connection with Bobo and Bobo culture. You know? As a young man, go down and come back up after a couple of months. And I think it will spend a long time down there. And then now we start to keep Sabbath.
Mm.
But yeah, then bring back the culture with the Sabbath. Priest Turks go down in a 76 also and come back up. Never put on turban, but we start to hold the culture, Sabbath, and getting into the more spiritual aspect of Rastafari. While someone was just into a cultural trad as Rastaman, you know, it's just about the colors and the talk and them thing there. And I was more into the churchical order for we love. I man personally have a love for the churchical order, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was a great part of my development, you know, because I was the man that read the Psalm, them when time we da have Psalms reading, and not Psalms reading, but Bible reading on Wednesday and have discussions, you know,
My
start
God.
beat to little drum and all of them things there. Now, we resisted, we'd have a bridging down in a Brooklyn with the rest, a set of races that take on to the Ethiopian World Federation and then bring the charter up to us and I say we should be part of the Ethiopian World Federation. But even before we know Bobo, we never want to join a group because we'd have a set of where we go to the Orthodox Church. I let me senior brethren where we used to go school with pastor now. Him go to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church because we are say Haile Selassie bring this church to Africa, I mean to America, you know. So we should associate with it from where Haile Selassie. But to become part of the church, them say you have to trim.
Mm.
And we young in a Rasta man, for relax mean more to it than, than that. So we resist that. So we not go to Orthodox church and we not join no EWF either, you know. We just independent. But we had quite a little following, my lad, you know. Can name at least 10, 12 man out of the gathering. We wind up as priests are go down a Bobo Hill. Quite a few man out of that setting there, you know.
See,
Mm,
see,
mm-hmm.
that's so the I experience I go the camp now for the first time
Yes.
what was the high expectation based on what honorable priest Akil and honorable priest
I
Tur
kill. I kill.
Aikil,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
based on their how them relate things back to the eye. What was the eye expectation when the eye get there?
Um, my lad, I'm another man where I'm man used to say, I'm man no accept nothing where I no understand.
Mm,
I'm man have to understand a thing. So my whole meditation was, you want to ask this elder questions that me have where as a young ras coming up were not answered,
mm,
you know?
yes, sir.
Yeah, cause remember say now we rise up as young Rastaman and say, Haile Selassie is the fulfillment of Revelation 5:5, which says the return of Christ going to be the man with the titles of Kings and Lord of Lords.
Mm-hmm.
So when I presented with the concept of a black Christ different than Haile Selassie, it was a challenge to I. So I'm want to ask about these things.
My
you
lord,
know?
my lord.
Yeah, yeah. So when I got on a yard, I never got to stay. I was on a journey, like I say, me and the brethren them start develop a meditation. We want to leave Babylon. And I man go down with a small change to go see if we can buy a piece of land, you know. And the man who come meet me and carry me up at the hill was Prophet Harper that me I say him and Jaffigo come from the same on a Ramsey Road that side there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And as a Bobo and when you hear them man the talk of King Emmanuel, you know, yeah, as a young man, you're influenced.
My lord.
And you want to meet this man and you want to, ask all the questions where as a young Ras you want to know and understand. So when I went up on the hill, going through the gate, when you look on the place, from you go through the arch and go into the place, you get a whole different feeling. You don't feel like the road where you come from. There was a serenity in going into through the arch and into the yard wherein you feel like there was something different here. 'Cause remember we have played drum and gatherings in a New York City, but the solace and the serenity of the place. I mean, like you step in a whole different world.
Mm.
Going to service for the first time, Sabbath service, that was another joy that even though we used to clap and sing and do all of these things in New York, to come and see a order set out with the worship of Haile Selassie was, yeah, uplifting, you know. It's a transformational moment in life because as a man that just within my heart take on to the scriptures and the spiritual way of life. This was like you find a beehive and you get a taste of honey.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. That was my first time going a camp. But
my
I
lord.
I would I only went to keep Sabbath
subscribe button. See you on the next video. I start the mindset. Smash that subscribe button. See you on the next video. I just start the mindset. Smash